All right, traders, welcome to today's recap. This is Christian from Hertz Tribeca Trade Group, and it is Tuesday, February 26th. Just a quick announcement. I will be traveling the rest of the week, so there will not be any videos for the rest of the week. I think that'll be just a little bit too hairy. If I can actually do something, but I'm managing expectations, it's going to be difficult because I will be away just for a couple days. So probably is it a good time to go away? We'll see. I mean, I see that the market seems to have lost a little bit of upside momentum to it, and I think that's topic number one right now. So I think we're seeing a little bit something different. We saw a couple days last week where we, pulled back just a tiny bit, and then buyers came back in. So, it does look like we've lost a little bit of momentum here. You do see a little bit of a reversal bar from yesterday, right, where we tried to go higher, couldn't do it. Toppy looking candle in S&P futures. But we're still above the 5-period moving average, so we really haven't lost any of that. We are still a little bit overbought. What I would be maybe looking for is, maybe a little bit more than just we were down like 10 basis points today, or SPY finished down 7 basis points, so not even a tenth of a percentage point in the S&P. This was where was last week? Last week I think we had one red day, I think, or one red bar. Back here we had a couple days, and the world seemed like it was going to end then too. So what I'm trying to say is just be careful of reading Twitter and people being throwing more drama out there about the S&P being down 10 basis points. I know it looks a little bit different, and we haven't had a pullback in a month and a half. What I'm watching is, I'll go to the Qs and IWM, but I'm really watching small caps. Small caps always seem to lead the move a little bit, and they looked weak to me. They closed on the lows today. I looked at them at a couple times today. At one point, they started to rally pretty nice at around like 2 o'clock today. I mean, there's nothing really to go off of here either in the Qs, right? I mean, we haven't lost anything. I mean, if you want to look back here, you can make an argument just like in the S&P and say, "Oh, we're hitting a level." I'm not one of these big level guys that say that the S&P will go up to this level, and you cross this line, and then I have oh no, I got to back it up, and if you cross over this line, it's bad. So I mean, people have been doing that for the last 2 months, right? We've seen and heard people do that, and I just haven't been one of those people that's to say, what is it? Everybody's saying the 2,800 level now. I'm just not a big buyer of that, because people said that at the 200-day moving average. Oh my God, we're not going to be able to get above it. The level before that was what, 2,700. Everybody, oh, we're not going to get over 2,700. So it's really, I don't really understand why people are so fixated on these levels. I mean, you could see I've got a trend line drawn in there. So yeah, I mean, probably we digest a little bit. But trying to pick the actual level where the market is going to stop going up is kind of a fool's game to me. I don't. That's just not my. It's not my game to say this is the line of resistance, because then what'll happen is, let's say we do get over this line. Then what are people? Oh, we're never going to get to the 52-week highs. I mean, it just goes on and on and on, and so everybody tries to call the top. Do I think at this point, again, that we're due for some type of, I mean, I would personally like at this point a little bit of a pullback to kind of get everybody shifted to the one side. Oh, we're going to go straight down again. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. And listen, I'm watching this stuff like a hawk too. IWM, that is the one that I would stay focused on. Remember, this is the most overbought one too. So it was this morning it was a 76 RSI, which is really an overbought territory. The RSI, if you're not familiar with it, relative strength index. When these things get really overbought or oversold, I pay attention and kind of reduce risk. That's what I did yesterday. So it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to fall. I mean, we are extended above from the 5. I do look at, number one, if price is above the short-term moving averages, which it is. It's possibly losing it here. And then I also look to see how far we are either above the the 5 day moving average above the 20, and you've got a significant distance, so we could kind of come in here to meet the two lines. I mean, if you look at the example on the downside too, this got really separated and came in a little bit. This got really separated here. Same thing here, got really separated, the distance between the yellow and the blue line. So, there is an area, kind of an air pocket that we could come into. So do I want to short with both hands because of this? No, I don't really. I'm not really feeling it. The VIX is at a very low level, so I personally would rather just take some trades off, which I did yesterday, and then just kind of sit and be patient. I think it's hard to really anticipate when we're going to get that volatility. I mean, unless I could really find some weak things, weak setups, but I don't. I'm not really crazy about. And I think if I were to kind of come in and say to short a couple things, it probably would be the IWM. Because of that distance and because it seems to be starting to fade faster. Note this was down 70 basis points. So as I mentioned, was weak to start the day, bounced a little bit, and then just kind of lost out here and finish on the absolute lows. So that could be that we open up. I mean, here's one. So again, these are all good scenarios to kind of go through your mind. I wouldn't mind personally if we came in, and I know if you're really long, you don't want to hear this, but if we kind of came in down like 50 basis points, what do you think is going to happen? If we come in down a 0.5%, IWM, S&P, what do you think is going to happen? Probably, I would guess that buyers will probably come back in because they think it's a little bit cheap. So that's what I would look for, and there's nothing wrong with having some protection on here in case you do think. And I would gravitate towards towards IWM puts right now. What else to kind of talk about for the day? Option activity, just a couple things. Just a kind of like. Maybe I think yesterday was a different day. I was going to say maybe like yesterday, but I think this EA is attractive. This is a name that I got long. This was in the weekend newsletter. I was long this thing, took profit, talked about this version point of control as a place to take profits. It came into support and is now turning the corner. So I got rid of a third of my position today on the move up. And if we get another day like today, I may either just unwind. I'm not really looking for a move all the way back here. Just maybe someplace in here. If we get this, that would be great. But already nicely in the money on that. Another trade that I saw a couple times today was Visa, strong in a weak tape. Remember if you saw my video on Real Vision, right after earnings, so right into here was where I said that this was a good setup. So now probably a good place to take some targets. Even though here was the option activity today. Remember, I try to get into a lot of these plays before we see the option activity, because what happens when we see a lot of times the option activity, it's a little bit of momentum stuff, and you can sell into that, right? When everybody's talking about it on TV or the guys on CNBC on the halftime show, those are great places to sell because I think a lot of it is, they're not the best signals. But it was the May 150 calls. A decent sized trade for Visa, $200,000 in premium. So again, they went out a little bit further with this too. So maybe somebody is thinking that this gets back to the 52-week highs. Speaking of those 52-week highs, what else? I know I've been beating this to this point like a dead horse, but very coiled again for Amazon. I know that there's a lot of eyeballs on these stocks. That's why I make mention to it. But I really think maybe you set alerts on these things. But, man, I mean, these are really, lack of momentum, I would chalk it up. I mean, it's funny because I tweeted that out. And then about 10 minutes or 15 minutes after I tweeted it out, they got going a little bit. So, maybe me doing that and getting to the point where saying that these have really lost all momentum, maybe now they'll get going. But I think they've been traps. What names are outperforming a little bit? A little bit, right? Up 0.75% at Cisco. I didn't see where Microsoft actually gave back some of those early gains. Salesforce, right? They just look a little bit different right now. So anyway, that's those names. A couple of names that reported earnings. Again, it's like the wild west of earnings. I played Vive. I don't know, maybe a little bit unlucky on this one. It's just that moving with momentum. I think they said that the CEO left. I also played Planet Fitness. This one's up a little bit. Tandem, unlucky, I would say, for this one. This was one I've been swing trading. I've had in the weekend newsletter a couple times. I thought today was a good candle. I really like this name, but so where is this thing? I did not want to put an earnings trade on because a lot of these names, some of these medical device companies just haven't been doing well on earnings. So it's up to 57. So that's going to be right through that resistance. But again, where I usually have a bit of edge in playing earnings is looking at names that have good historic moves. And Tandem wasn't really one of them. You could see a lot of back and forth movement in terms of the price change afterwards. Palo Alto is also up nicely, I believe. That's up to 253. So I will say, if provided that you're in the right names, but this has been one of the most exciting earnings seasons that I've seen in a long time. The fact that you're just getting a lot of runners is pretty interesting. A couple names on the downside too. If you played Weight Watcher, I did not play any of these names. Weight Watchers, I think BGS was down as well. So you're getting names that are moving quite a bit. There was another name too that was up, and I'm forgetting what it was. I know Toll is also up a little bit. We saw a lot of DHI calls. I don't know if that was the reason for why they were buying weekly calls in DHI, which is a name that I'm still long a piece of. But what else outperformed today? And then we'll call it a day. The pot stocks were kind of back in favor again today. Kron did fine today, up 6%. These names are the day trader's paradise, I would say. I think Tillery got going a little bit, but then gave it all back. This name has been doing that. So very, very quick move and then fade. So, all right, so that's it for today's video. Oh, any other option activity that was notable for the day? Kind of an interesting name is in here. This out, I have to check to see how that one went. What's this other name that we saw yesterday? Had a nice follow-through move. FTCH. We talked about that name yesterday. All right, so that's it. We could see a little bit more, being that we kind of closed on the lows, but really kind of think about things and put a line in support. I'm getting a lot of questions about what about shorting here and shorting this and shorting that. Really depends if you really have a reason, and not just a reason that, things have gone up too much that you want to short. Maybe look at some, a level of, again, SMH, right? I mean, God, this is probably not the best sign, right? We had this here. But yeah, I guess here's a good example, right? Went too far too fast or on the 200-day moving average, gapped up on 2.6. So it did come in, right? So if you're looking for a move like this from 101, but I mean, look at how quick you had to be. And there wasn't just, so let me ask you, which would you rather play? A move like this from $91 to 100, or would you rather look for a move from 100 down to 98, a 2% move, and put on a whole bunch of shorts looking for that move? Right? Because maybe that's what we could get, or maybe you check back down to the 200, but you haven't broken here at all. But I think that's what you want to stay focused for. But I could tell you again from my experience, trying to fade names just because they're up is not really has not been a winning formula for me. All right, guys. So that's it. Have a great night, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow.